Hello, my name is Kendra Abercrombie, and I am the DEI manager for the Illinois Supreme Court Commission on Professionalism. And today I have the honor of interviewing Jayne Reardon, who is our executive director at the Illinois Court Commission on Professionalism. And today we are just going to be talking a little bit about her background and why we chose her specifically for this project. So many young lawyers don't know your full portfolio of experience, but the Chicago Bar Association has initiated this prototype project to ensure that your voice and legacy will always remain. As part of our inaugural interviews, as this collection grows, the viewers in the future generations of members will be able to see and hear what you would like to say about your journey and profession. With that, background on our intentions, what do you want to leave with us as your legacy?
Kendra, as I have said before, to talk about legacy makes me feel a little awkward or self-congratulatory, but undeniably, I've been in the profession many decades. And the last 16 years I've been at the Commission on Professionalism has been the most rewarding. I have been basically the standard bearer of civility and professionalism. And I would say I have tried to inspire lawyers to reconnect with why they became lawyers in the beginning and how we can serve those who really do need someone to give them voice, to demystify the processes, to help them assert and protect their rights. And that has been a rewarding ride and a great message across the state. I've been able to connect with so many people who really do share this mission and this momentum. And so I would say that's my legacy is connect to the aspirations of this legal profession. We have the greatest legal system, in my opinion, on the face of the earth. It has problems. We can always improve it, but it is a phenomenal privilege to serve people in the law.
What a great legacy to leave behind all your work with the Commission on Professionalism. So as our review of your work shows, you have been a leader with the commission and, in other work that you've done within the state of Illinois. And leadership can be defined in several ways. For example, like we said, you've done a lot of work with not only young lawyers within the state, but you continue to work with judges and other attorneys on the ideas of civility and professionalism. In your view, what do you believe are the most important attributes of a leader in the legal profession?
I've thought a lot about leadership in my role and in the work at the commission. Thank you for asking that. I think no matter what industry or field you're in, if you're a leader, it is extremely important to listen. You need to listen in order to be a good leader. Listen to those who challenge you, who disagree with you, who agree with you, who have a different perspective. Because if you don't listen and really garner and leverage the diversity of perspectives, you could be leading down a dead end street. So I think listening is extremely important. And particularly in the law, I think, and particularly at this point in time, which is a very interesting and challenging time where we have a lot of social unrest and re-examination, I think having the courage of your convictions and acting on the courage of your convictions is really the mark of a leader in the legal profession, because we need to stand up for what is right. And there may be a difference of opinion on what one person thinks is right and another. But one of the things, as you know, Kendra, that we talk about at the Commission on Professionalism, diversity of perspectives and conflict and differences and disagreements, that's good. Without those, we're not challenging assumptions in order to make our profession and the world a better place. So listening and act on the courage of your convictions, I think, are really essential for good leadership in this profession.
So, of all the careers, Jayne, what made you decide on the legal field to become a lawyer? And how has that experience been rewarding for you?
So I actually decided to be a lawyer, to pursue the law at a fairly young age, sometime in high school. And I was attracted to the idea that there were rules because I did not come from an orderly family. It was quite chaotic. And the idea that everyone could have a voice and has a right and has rights to be protected was extremely attracted to me. So I remember having some sort of seminar in high school and learning about the mailbox rule. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. And so I started pursuing the law through college. By college, I was already taking undergrad constitutional law courses and stuff like that. At the same time, my extracurriculars in high school were in theater. And so I was attracted to being a trial lawyer. I liked the theater of the well. And so that is kind of why I went into trial lawyering. I also decided I did not want to do criminal. It would be too emotionally wrenching for me. So I have found, I loved trying cases. It was very interesting and rewarding. I have loved all the permutations since then. As you know, I left the private practice and I started working for the Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission, which disciplines and registers lawyers, as the name would connote. And then when the court established the Commission on Professionalism, I jumped at the chance to work proactively on behalf of the profession. And it's been a really great ride.
Wow. The mailbox rule gave me an immediate flashback to contract law. I mean, I remember the day we talked about that in class. Whew, what a ride.
But it's pretty cool, isn't it?
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that those are just some of the things that stick out to us that we remember throughout our careers. Please share with us what you would say is a unique aspect of your life and career that may not be well known to everyone.
So the most unique case I handled when I was in the private practice has actually been formative to the trajectory of my career. When I was very young, I was handed a case where we represented a psychologist who was accused of hypnotizing a 15-year-old boy into confessing to a murder of a 14-year-old girl. So this confession had been thrown out of the criminal court as being involuntarily given, and we were defending the police officers under Section 1983, and our firm was defending the psychologist from malpractice. So it was a really interesting, sexy, complicated case, and it went to a 3-week trial in federal court here. We won, hands down, and so did the police officers, and we defended it to the 7th Circuit and to the US Supreme Court. What was fascinating about that case was to look at the law through the eyes of the psychologist. And he and I have stayed in touch through the years and started writing a book. Unfortunately, never finished, and he died just this past year. But one of the things I want to do is finish that book when I am in retirement, because it's really fascinating, and it really got me to look at the law differently. through the eyes of someone who said, "But I know what is true." And I'm like, well, you have to prove it in court. Doesn't matter what you know. And it was a very gut-wrenching, interesting experience.
Wow. Wow. Along our way, we often have people who encourage us and uplift us through this journey. Is there any specific shero or hero mentor who has guided you along the way that you would love to take this time to just celebrate and highlight?
I have had a lot of sheroes and heroes in my career. I'm going to celebrate only one here, Judy Perry Martinez, who is the former ABA president, excellent lawyer, has been a mentor to me. She has 4 children also, and just a quality human being. I'd also want to say that inadvertently, I ended up with a ton of mentors. But I would say, and I do say to people I mentor, seek out and have a whole bench of mentors. When I was a young lawyer, I thought everybody knew everything but me. So I would go to different people in my firm and other firms and ask them all these questions. I didn't want to go to the same person too often because then they would know I didn't know what I was doing, right? And inadvertently, I ended up with a whole bunch of wonderful mentors and great friends. That's what we should all be doing. It's really a wonderful thing to have mentors and to be a mentor.
In 2021, young legal professionals find themselves in the midst of a world pandemic, working to exceed in their careers. Your reputation is that you have been an advocate for young lawyers, diverse lawyers, and LGBTQ plus lawyers. What do you advise lawyers and others in our profession should do to foster authenticity and diversity and inclusion?
So I've seen a lot of different approaches over the years, but what I think really works well, and I wish I had done this earlier in my career, is sharing your personal self. It is through really showing your vulnerabilities, you create ties and connections with other people. And back when I started, I just was trying to fit in, right? Because there were very few women trial lawyers. And most of the time I was mistaken for the court reporter or the clerk. So there was a lot of posturing, frankly, that I did. And I don't think that serves people well now. I think we are all more effective and more well, right? When we can be ourselves and share our personal lives with one another. And so that would be my advice.
Mm. You brought in a little bit of what our next question is going to touch on, and that is, when you started, you said there were very few women, and oftentimes you were mistaken for a court clerk. And despite many advancements, there remain many challenges in the legal profession for women today. They can be nuanced and multi-layered, or and subtle in professional environments. For example, they can exist because of societal expectations of women being the primary caregivers for immediate and extended family. The challenges can be as a result of several other factors as well. For you, what has been your biggest challenge in the profession, specifically as a woman, and how did you overcome it?
Yes. So when I started, women were quite the minority, particularly in the courtroom and in depositions and litigation. And I put on a set of armor, right, and girded myself for battle each day. And I was good at it, but it took a toll. It really took a toll. And what I had to come to terms with, particularly once I started having children, was I needed a profession and a career that was adaptable to my desire for a family, and I found it. And that required at that time, or at least I chose to switch and take a right-hand turn in my career. But it's turned out to be excellent, really, really great for me. And I think today there are so many more creative opportunities. We don't just have a straight ladder up, right? No matter what organization you're in, there seem to be more flexibility, and particularly post-pandemic. So there's opportunities for women and minorities to find career satisfaction, make an impact in their professional lives, and still have a solid personal life that's rewarding as well.
And you just mentioned, how important family was to you in your career and in your personal life. And I would love for you to just touch a little bit about what the role that family has played in your career. And I know you told us it was important that you were able to incorporate your family into your career. And as if there were any personal experience, especially being a wonderful mom of 4 in the legal profession, that you could share with other young women who may be in the same position soon, or interested in understanding how the legal profession and having a family and being a strong mom will work out.
Yeah. Well, it's a ride, right? And it's a leap of faith because it's going to be different for every person. But it has been incredibly rewarding for me. And I think I'm much more efficient and effective. I get to the point more. When I was practicing law, I'm like, no, I'm not going to stretch out this. I can knock out this memo pretty quickly because I've got a baby at home, right? Nowadays, clients are demanding more efficient and value-ridden services. So I think having a family actually made me much more efficient and effective as a lawyer in terms of how I spent my time. It also really was helpful to see the world through my children's eyes, right? And as they grew, and there were, shall we say, disagreements between myself and their teachers or the school board, I wasn't afraid to go to the school board. I remember more than once, one of the teachers or the principal would say, well, Mrs. Reardon, you're going to have to take that up with the school board. And I said, okay, what's the next meeting? And I did. And my children later rewarded me with just an incredible piece of feedback by bringing my skills as a lawyer into my children's lives. I've taught them some great things about our country, about the value of speaking up, and about how one person can make a difference. And so when I got that in a card from my daughter, I cried.
I mean, that is amazing. And I think that just goes to how not only, you have given back so much to the legal community, but it still shows that you gave so much to just as much to your children. And it shows that you can have a family and be phenomenal and pour into your job and still be able to pour into your children and give them the same exact thing that you give to your job. So I think that's an amazing story to be able to share, and what an impact for, your daughter to come back and say that to you. Honestly, every mother's dream. So what an amazing impact. So this year's bar theme is Celebrate, Care, and Challenge. So our next few questions are going to focus around our bar theme this year. So what are some ways that women celebrate and champion other women in the legal profession?
A very obvious way to celebrate and champion other women is to mentor them and shine a light on their accomplishments. What I tell people is always take an opportunity if you're in a meeting to say, as Kendra said, because then you're adding your voice to that of another woman or group of women. That's a very easy way that we can, shore up and celebrate and support one another. Do not do what happened to me one time. Another woman said to me, I didn't tell so-and-so you had 4 children because I didn't think they would take you seriously. That's not a good look, and it's not necessary, and it's really quite harmful to do that.
Mm. What is the most important thing a mentor has helped you learn that you would like to pass on to other women to help navigate the legal profession?
Oh, yes. I want to share this image. You know how they say you've got a work-life balance, like it's a teeter-totter, one's up or the other's up? That's ridiculous. And so somebody shared with me an image that I find extremely helpful, because you have to think about your work and your life is a continuum, right? Now I'm an empty nester. At one point in time, I had 4 children in kindergarten and under, completely different home lives and a completely different, I chose to have a completely different dedication to work because of that. So the image is more like your life is an orchestra. Sometimes the strings are playing, sometimes percussion is banging away, sometimes there's just a solo going on. But it's all part of a beautiful song, and it will vary over time. I thought that was really great advice, and it's really turned out to really resonate with me throughout my career.
That is great advice. So, our last question here for today: as a young lawyer, what did you feel was the most pressing issue you faced, and how did you overcome that challenge?
As a young lawyer, and I've alluded to this before, I felt that I was very obviously a female, and I needed to overcome that challenge and become just like them. And back in those days, we were wearing shoulder pads in our jackets, ties on our blouses, and so we looked like the men, and we, I felt it important to act like a man to avoid the comments that, such as, let's hear from the lady lawyer, or, kind of those down-putting comments. And I navigated that by really hard work, and usually beating them at the motion, or, in the trial or whatever. But it was a lot of work. And then as time went on and I relaxed, I found I was just as effective by embracing the fact that, yes, I'm a lawyer and I can wear a red jacket and you, man, cannot. So there you have it. But today, Kendra, unfortunately, I think we have to guard very carefully the strides that have been made on behalf of women and minorities, because the research that's coming out from the pandemic is that there's some negative impacts hitting women, particularly mothers, very, very hard, and many people are leaving the profession. I think that would be a big mistake to have women depart at this juncture, and people of color depart at this juncture, when we've made strides, when we have the most diverse society we've ever had, and those voices and perspectives are needed. So I would urge women, stay the course. Minorities, stay the course. Find your mentors, get what support you need, but the profession needs you, and we really want to keep being better for the people who need the legal services in our society.
What a great way to end on, Jayne. Thank you so much for your time today. It has been amazing to hear some of the stories of your background. And it's just been amazing to see, the light and breath of fresh air you've been able to bring through your work, through the Commission on Professionalism, and through your work at being an amazing top-notch mom. So again, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all of the work and time you've contributed to the Illinois legal community.
Oh, thank you, Kendra, for allowing me to share these stories. I'm so impressed with the work of the CBA, and hats off to this project and those who've worked so hard to bring it to fruition. The Chicago Bar Association is one of the greatest bar associations in our state, and it's been my privilege to work with them. Thank you.